visiter les sites, voir un peu sur chaque site l'historique en termes de sécheresse, ce qui se passait, et puis en même temps l'historique aussi en termes d'inondation. On a vu des villages qui se sont déplacés pour raison de sécheresse, on a vu ou aussi pour raison d'inondation. On a vu des zones côtières le long du cours d'eau, donc des zones qui ont été complètement abandonnées pour le fait de la sécheresse aggravée par des inondations qui ont érodé pratiquement les berges, et tout ça, ce sont des problèmes. La conclusion composante ici, c'est d'avoir à proposer des choses. Et la solution basée sur la nature avec l'UICN ont été une des voies adoptées qui permet aujourd'hui d'aller dans ces projets. Et puis c'est cette thématique qui concerne précisément cet atelier. Donc c'est par rapport à cette voie-là, un certain nombre d'actions ont été menées en collaboration directe avec l'UICN. Et la troisième composante, naturellement, c'est tout ce qui est gouvernance par rapport aux décideurs, par rapport aux acteurs, le renforcement de capacités, la collaboration accélérée et aiguë et vraiment serrée avec les populations locales qui subissent la sécheresse. Et il faut dire que aussi la collaboration de certains nombres de structures de recherche qui ont mis en évidence dans la plupart des zones, à travers un certain nombre d'études d'indices pluviométriques et d'autres indicateurs, ont pu montrer clairement la situation de la sécheresse à travers un certain nombre de sujets d'études. Alors, je ne reviendrai pas sur la définition donnée par l'UICN, puisque mon prédécesseur, qui est de l'UICN, en a bien parlé, donc il est bien situé sur cet aspect-là, et ça montre clairement qu'on recherche des solutions qui tiennent compte du milieu dans lequel les populations vivent. Et qui aussi, à travers les échanges qu'on a avec les populations, on découvre quelquefois que ces populations aussi ont des solutions, même si les moyens exigés sont souvent plus importants et qu'ils n'arrivent pas à y faire face, ils trouvent quand même des palliatifs pour, dans un premier temps, résister à ces phénomènes-là et à pouvoir faire face en attendant l'intervention des autorités beaucoup plus lointaines. Alors donc ça fait que les différentes propositions, on a entendu via les enquêtes sociaux, un certain nombre de propositions, ils ont pu s'adapter avec surtout un certain nombre de... Quand on voit que le climat, la période, le début de saison des pluies était déplacé complètement, pas de gros moyens parce que le problème est vraiment énorme et nous pensons que nous allons y arriver avec ces projets qui n'est qu'un début avec l'appui de l'UICN et d'autres partenaires. Sur ce, je voudrais vous dire merci pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, Professor Gula. Thank you very much, everyone, also for standing on, for surviving all these power outages. I'll give it now straight away to Lukwesa
Okay.
to start the.
Right,
discussions.
we're gonna have a really quick wrap up of the session because I know I've noticed people are heading out. But before we began, I asked if anybody had an illness with their land that they wanted diagnosis and possibly treatment with some of the with some of the scientists and doctors we have in the room. Is there a hand? There was somebody who put their hand up earlier who came to see me who wanted to pick up on the mining point that I brought up. Is that person still in the room? No. Okay. There is one thing that I've noticed that I would like clearing up, please, because I am a little bit confused. There was a lot of interchanging going on between the terminology. Terminology is really, really important, and I know it takes a while to nail it down, and I can understand why the conversation is going on. Is it an eco-based approach, or is it a nature-based solution? Can we please have some sort of answer to that particular question? Is our scientist in the room? Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. Pardon? No, I think so.
No, thank you so much. So, ecosystem-based approach is actually a nature-based solution. So it is actually nested within a broader framework of nature-based solutions.
So when you're talking and engaging, when you're out of your safe space with other scientists, or when you're trying to describe the different approaches to drought mitigation or responding to drought, what should you use? Which terminology should you use? Do you use the encompassing nature-based?
That's a difficult one. Wow. So I would say you need to actually explain what it means. Can you hear
There
me?
we go. Let's try that one. The reason I ask, okay, so if it lies within, if it's a category within nature-based, you're going to be asked, well, what are the other options?
Sorry.
What are the other options apart from eco-based approach within a nature-based solution?
And there are many. There are many other approaches within the nature-based solutions. So, for example, the one that's known pretty well is forest landscape restoration approaches. So, I would put it very simply that, you know, it is a solution that responds both to development, but allows for protection of nature. It is two-pronged. It's not one or the other, but one that combines both. And I know I've made it more confusing, sorry. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Maybe it's something that I could leave you with, because the more this is discussed, oh lovely, we've got some questions. Yeah, I'm coming to you. I think the more you discuss this particular subject, the more that's going to become an issue, and you've got the time to sort of nail it down. Who had their hand up, please? Who had their hand up? Wonderful, thank you.
Oui, c'est moi. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. Bon, toute petite situation. Moi-même, je suis un ministre, on me paye pour ça, pour être un diplomate. Mais moi-même, je suis un PhD et je donne des cours. Et j'analyse les choses à partir de la vérité. Science is based on evidence, and we have no evidence of what is the solution of nature-based solution. La science se base dans l'évidence, et nous n'avons pas de l'évidence de quelle est la solution que nous donne les solutions basées dans la nature. Mais ce que nous avons avec certitude, c'est la preuve de que les écosystèmes donnent des services. Il y a un résultat concret, tangible, pas seulement culturel qui est respectable. C'est pour ceci que plusieurs pays, comme l'Argentine, le Brésil, l'Arabie saoudite et des autres, nous apprécions qu'on parle des ecosystem-based ecosystem approach and ecosystem services and ecosystem adaptation. L'approximation basée dans fondée dans les écosystèmes, service des écosystèmes, adaptation basée dans les écosystèmes. C'est ça ce que je peux dire. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Merci, merci. Any more questions? Oh, one more question. Okay, okay. Two questions. Actually, could I, monsieur, je vais donner le microphone à la femme parce que c'est la première fois qu'elle parlait. Si c'est possible. Merci. Et après, on va. Ouais.
Non, c'est très important.
Okay. Merci, merci, merci.
Great. So I actually had a question earlier. My name's Lee Winowicki. I'm a soil scientist at World Agroforestry. When we're talking about nature-based solutions and ecosystem approaches, one thing I didn't hear in the speech from CBD, and it could have just been my ears, was where is soil biodiversity? As we know, soil is the most biodiverse ecosystem on the planet. And we did hear Elizabeth and Rema mention several times in this room, on this stage, soil biodiversity. And so I really hope as negotiations start again in Nairobi next week that we can at least start acknowledging soil health as a key nature-based and ecosystem-based solution. So I've even messed up the question.
No, you haven't. I think we got the message, and that's all that matters. Thank you very much. Monsieur.
Je me nomme Brahima Kone, Ivorian reporter, journaliste ivoirien. Yeah. Ma première question s'adresse à un expert qui a dit dans son développement tout à l'heure qu'il y a des espèces animales qui résistent mieux à la sécheresse. Évidemment, nous voyons des images effroyables à la télé, en Somalie, au Soudan, pour ne pas continuer. Quelle solution aussi pour ces animaux qui résistent moins à la sécheresse? Ma seconde question s'adresse à M. Goulabitié. Je voudrais savoir quel est l'état de vos recherches dans le bassin du Volta dans la lutte contre la sécheresse de pluie. Merci.
Ibrahim, merci. Okay, our first question, I don't know if we can remember who it was, but if it was yourself or you can pick it up, please do. Basically, the question is, we heard about animal species that were more resilient to drought conditions. He said, what hope is there of those animals who aren't? Anybody who can pick that up for me or who spoke? Okay, lovely. Thank you for responding. Thank you.
Sorry, and I just realized, Chris, I think I'm 2 days ahead of you because in my presentation I had already the 15th. No, just answering this, it was an example that in a drought-prone area it might not make sense to have a huge, let's say, pig farm or something which is very water-consuming, that might be adapted to the surrounding. That was just to give you a very simple example. I hope that helps.
And oui, génial. Merci. Second question,
Bien, merci.
evidence.
Oui, pour rapidement vous donner une réponse, disons que les études ont montré que Jusqu'aux années 70, on a connu une décennie humide. Ça, c'est ce que nous appelons la variabilité climatique. On a connu une décennie humide. Et puis à partir de 70, une décennie sèche jusqu'au-delà de 83, 84, jusqu'en 90, une décennie un peu sèche. Si vous vous rappelez un peu, 83 a été difficile pour tous les pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest et partant sur toute la latitude. Et depuis un moment, on ne sait plus, on monte, on descend, et on voit que ces dernières années, les 5 dernières années ont été très difficiles, voilà, pour l'ensemble du pays et surtout dans la partie nord. Voilà. Et si vous parcourez la zone, vous voyez que déjà à partir du mois de novembre, ils connaissent la sécheresse jusqu'à maintenant. Et c'est à partir du mois de mai, dès les saisons des pluies, qu'ils commencent à avoir la pluie. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Okay, now obviously we've had the graphic artist working throughout today. So let us hear what her reflections are and how she's interpreted what she has heard and seen today as well. This should be interesting. Stephanie. Stephanie, we're just sorting out your sound. Just bear with us, please. And welcome. It's lovely to see you. We've seen some beautiful artistic work. Okay, let's try.
We're going to do a test, Yes, okay.
Would you like to give it a go, Stephanie?
Oh, yes. So let me know, are you hearing me okay like this? So I'll give you a second to maybe move the mic around a bit to find the right spot of the computer. Sometimes the mic's on top of the, if it's a MacBook, it's on top, the speaker, and otherwise it might be on the bottom.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Yeah. Is that any better?
Where's the mic? Let's have a look.
Okay.
Had it for a second.
So, you had it for a second there. Is it coming back now?
We're almost there, Stephanie.
Stephanie, can you just keep talking? just keep talking. Okay. Just keep talking for me, please. Just keep talking for me, please.
Just say testing.
But the idea is that I will essentially do a visual recap. So I've been here all day, I've been listening, and I'll be feeding back what I've heard, so I'm not adding anything new. I'll just be taking you through a visual summary of today's discussions. So how's that sounding? Are we there? We're not quite yet.
Could you raise your voice for us? Let's try that.
Yeah? Yeah, sorry, what did you say there?
I wonder if you could just project your voice a little bit louder. I know it's uncomfortable, but if you could raise your voice, that might be a fix, please. Thank you.
Let's see if this works any better, if you can hear me okay like this. Any better like this?
Is anybody hearing at the back? Are we hearing at the back? Okay. Let's go for it. Otherwise, we're not going to get there. Let's persevere.
I'll try to speak loudly. So, yes, good afternoon from Northern Ireland. So I've been in the background listening to all the discussions from today, from Science Day, and I have been translating these into visual summaries or graphic recordings, as they're called. And I'm just taking a few minutes here, not to add anything new, but to give back to you a quick recap, a quick summary of the main things that I have heard today and that I've captured in imagery. So Nicole's putting that up on the big screen for me, and I'll pull it up for myself as well so I can see where we are. So Nicole, if you'd like to go to the second slide, and this is about session 1, which was conversations around land restoration. What you can see here is in the first section on reaching a desirable future, we heard from a range of speakers talking about the importance of a theory of change, having an idea of pathways of where you want to go, and most importantly of being able to review those pathways and adapt to to sudden change towards an envisioned future. The cocoa landscape and working together to restore the cocoa landscape whilst also looking at the economic benefits of restoring the land. And we came across an insight there, one of the learnings of going beyond tree planting and looking at tree growing. So really collaborating with trees to restore the cocoa landscape. That came back again when we heard about farmer managed regeneration in the Sahel region and beyond. The synergies between environmental benefits and livelihood benefits. And again here, the stories and the roles of trees. We came back to this concept of land degradation neutrality a number of times in this session. We heard about it again when we heard about the importance of data and the challenges in the Sahel region with all of the regeneration effort that has been happening there, with getting good data to prove the impact of what communities have been doing on the ground, more ground data as well as remote sensing data. That data might even be there, but it's scattered. So how do we reach common understanding, share definitions, and move beyond indicators to indices? We also talked about decision trees, bridging SDG reporting with also implementation of LDN approaches, and we talked about the agroecological farm. So this session really main takeaways were the importance of trees, the role of land degradation neutrality, the importance of ground truth, communities on the ground who have the knowledge but also have the data, who experience whether interventions work or not, and the importance of sharing stories and sharing data. So if we move on to the next slide there, that was a session with young people, or with the next generation of key actors. They're not just young people, they also have careers up and coming now. And so we heard from a number of initiatives here, research done on science policy interfaces, the opportunities that brings for partnerships and knowledge co-production, but also the importance of engaging youth there, not only to bring in diversity of perspectives and bridging gaps, but also to train up the next generation of scientists, of policymakers, of practitioners. We heard from Adrian Letoro, who talked about youth empowerment for land restoration through his initiative, and how passion isn't enough to come to flourishing. You also need the knowledge and skills, the resources to ultimately move towards careers in land restoration, and the importance there of knowledge sharing with experienced practitioners. We heard about a new PhD program on desertification and land degradation, and work that's currently being done on placing weather stations, gathering data, and a really important emphasis there on south-to-south cooperation. And for all of these people goes, these are early scientists.
And my second question is,
scientists, these are early career practitioners, and they are happy to get in touch and work together. So these are some glimpses of new ideas and programs and new leaders that we need. So Nicole, if we can go to the next slide. That's just this recent session on drought. A lot of really rich discussion here again. We heard about some of the scientific grounding of that came out of the recent IPCC report and the implications for drought risk. We talked about the complexity, the strong complexity and the interactions in the issue of drought, the increasing frequency and severity of drought events, and that we can now say with high confidence the human influence and on droughts, on heat waves, on global warming. You heard a little bit about some of the regions that will be affected with 1.5 or with 2 degrees or more of global heating. Then we heard about the gender dimension, which is not an add-on, but a fundamental aspect here. The influence of governance on gender and how gender is, women are impacted differently to men in drought events. That having to do with the limited access to things like land, resources, and decision making, and also higher risk with the burden of household chores, higher risk of security when needing to go out further to forage, to find food or find water, and also gender-based hygiene risk. So we heard here the importance of taking this into consideration, how women are impacted differently in drought events, higher incidence of death in drought events, and the role that governance can play in mitigating this. We heard about measuring progress towards drought resilience, the latest SPI report that came out of measuring or assessing drought resilience, looking at different skills, looking at different capitals. We heard about the very integrated national approach in Italy to monitoring water severity and drought events there, the emphasis on scenario modeling and planning. And we also heard about the land PKS systems for the soil texture prediction maps that are now readily available in an app, and when they're put into the hands of farmers, that lead to good outcomes. We also heard about some examples of farmer-managed natural regeneration, an example that was given by Nathalie van Halen from both ends was the half-moon farming in Burkina Faso, which is an example of local knowledge, local farming traditions that are now being revived or being catalogued. And speaking of cataloging, we then heard about WOCAT, the Global Sustainable Land Management Database, which has been collecting and sharing proven SLM practices that are field tested and that are now available to a wider and wider audience. We heard about nature-based solutions here as the solutions that provide the detail to local interventions, very localized knowledge. And we heard from Lisa from the sister UN Convention on Biodiversity that nature-based solutions don't just use, but they enhance nature and biodiversity. We talked about the synergies between biodiversity loss and drought and climate change, as well as the synergies between energy and land use. So some of the audience input here was the caveat with governance for CSOs to be bold, to hold them to account when governance are not playing a mitigating role in impacts on things like gender and climate change or drought events. And we also heard a lot of resonance in the room around the suggestion to bring in indigenous voices and bringing in other knowledge systems, so not just the scientific knowledge, but also indigenous and local knowledge, and to bring both more firmly into the room. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. If we go to the last slide, you can see Lukwesa there who will take us now into the final closing remarks. Thank you.
Stephanie, thank you very much. And I know this is just a little bit, but could we just have a huge round of applause for Stephanie, because that was amazing. I don't think there's very much more for me to add to this, because Stephanie summarized it so well in the best, simple, plain English, which is required, and yet we still had the scientific message put across. No, this is absolutely key, particularly when you're webcasting to the world. You still get the message across, still get the message. If somebody wants the data, they follow it up. People are very savvy and they know where to look. So, on behalf of myself and all of the SBI team, oh, yes, I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm just going to remind you that Noel started an experiment in the lunch break. Now, for those of you who are following it and would like to see the outcome of the experiment, please join him up. Are you going to do it on the screen? Okay, fine. So we'll watch that on the screen. But thank you very much for the engagement that you've given, the feedback that you've given, the contribution from the scientists themselves. It's been a really wonderful experience for myself. It's all yours. Please take it away.
Thank you, Lukwesa. Fantastic, Lukwesa. This is very short and sharp. This is just a little demo, hands-on demo that we do with farmers. And yeah, it came up yesterday. We collected some materials, topsoil, laterite soil, and leaf litter. We had some wonderful volunteers, Isi Menem and Marioldi, put them in socks, weighed the socks. Each of them was 400 grams. We put them in a bucket of water. And now we got to ask you, here they are. They've soaked, they've been drained. What do you think they weigh now? Anyone on the laterite soil? Going. I wish I could see what was which. I think this is the laterite. Nice and wet. Well, it started off as 400, so 300 is a bit of a loser guess. Any advance on 300? 300? 425. 600 is closer. It's 548. Okay, so next up we have the, I think this is the laterite. So, sorry, they're a bit hard to see, but yeah, it feels like this next one is the laterite, and it's 512, so quite a lot less. And this big baby is the topsoil. Guess? Oh, you're a super optimist, Baron, but it is the winner. It's 685. So, simple hands-on exercise that anyone can do with any group of farmers. Of course, usually the farmers would gather the soil, not the guys up at the front. But yeah, on behalf of the organizing team, I want to express a special word of thanks, not just to Lukwesa, but to our co-chair, Nicole, who has been the power behind the whole process, tirelessly striving away, pulling us all together. And I also want to recognize the session organizers, Katrin, Emias, Jean-Luc. It was a great team effort, and I think all of us have learned an enormous amount today. And I'm going to have a little session with Lukwesa to give her the lowdown on nature-based solutions. Because these things are, of course, all about history and trends and what's the sexy thing of the moment. And I think journalists need to kind of get a grip on that. But with that, yeah, I wasn't expecting to hold the mic right at the end, but here I am. Thank you all ever so much. Let's not forget to recognize Baron and the team at the Secretariat, who've been the most amazing support, the powers behind the throne. And last and not the least at all is David and his team, who've survived the perils of power outages and the like, and got us back on track each time. David, thanks so much, and thanks to the team. Really magnificent. So you all have a wonderful evening, and for those of you who getting knuckling down next week, good luck. Let's get us there with the negotiations. Thank you.
So before the presenters head out, we'd like to do a family photo of anybody who gave a presentation today. So all those who are here, who David gave a presentation, come on up. The Earth Negotiations Bulletin will take a family photo of you. So we'll put that together. I think we're going to try to put up the slide as well, one of the slides that we got from from our artists. So set yourselves up on the stage there. And those of you who are not there, everyone, just remember to leave your headsets behind, because every day we lose a few more headsets. So remember to leave your interpretation headsets behind. Okay, let's have everybody up for the slide. There we go, great. I think maybe we'll turn off the other screen though. Some of you guys can stand behind. Okay, let's get, this family seems a lot smaller than it was earlier today, okay? So we got people in the back row. Who's going to sit up front? We must have more presenters here today. Lisa Janishevsky. Lisa Janishevsky, you're one of the presenters. Come on up. And your command. Anyone who gave a presentation today must come to the front. Everyone come to the presentation. You're part of the family. Come on up. Is that really everybody we had? No, we've got, there we go. Come on up. And actually, sorry, not just the presenters, Noel and Nicole and everyone else, please. Actually, the organizers, you need to go up there too. You need to go up there too. You do, of course, yeah, even if you don't know, you're part of it too. Okay, you should go up too. Come on up for the family photo too. You're one of the vedettes, you're one of the stars. Come on up, yeah, of course. If you moderated a session, if you gave a presentation, if you organized a session. Okay, so we need the socks in the front row. Who's going to hold on to the socks? Do we put the pail in front? Here, wait, at least we have to put the pail in front. Okay, that's good. Okay, so hang on. Move over. The back row needs to move just a little bit to the right so that we... Wait, step back. Wait. But we want to have the slide there. Can you all move just a little bit to the right so we can have the slide? No, you in the front row and the chairs are okay. It's the back row. They've got to be a little bit more over. Move over some more. Put another foot. Non, on veut que les diapos s'apparaissent. Oui. OK. Oh non, c'est pas en focus maintenant. Mais c'est pas en focus. Remettre le focus. Oui, c'est ça. Yeah, you have to move a little bit more. Yes, make sure you don't sit on the soil, Luquesa. Don't sit on the soil. There you go. Do we have everybody? Is there anybody being shy in the back here still? Is everybody being shy? Good. Okay, great. What's that? Oh, okay, so I'm demanded to get here. All right.
You should totally get in there.
OK, bon. Pardon, quoi? C'est fini, oui, c'est fini. Oui, j'avais déjà demandé aussi des gens de ne pas prendre les casques.